Sometimes the hardest place to be is not in crisis, and it's not even in celebration. It's in the in-between. The gap between what God promised and what you can see right now. The tension between the vision and the manifestation of that vision. The space where you know that you're blessed, but it still feels heavy. I call the space the gap. And I believe that this is where God does his most transformative work. And we love mountaintop moments. We talk about favor, about breakthrough, answered prayers, and God is in those things. But sometimes the blessing doesn't feel like breakthrough. It feels like pressure. Because blessing doesn't just bring freedom, it brings responsibility. And responsibility always reveals your character. So when God begins to pour out his promises, it can feel really overwhelming. You prayed for the business, right? But now you're managing payroll and employees and people's expectations. You prayed for the marriage, and now you're confronting your own selfishness. You prayed for the baby, and now you are exhausted and you are questioning your very capacity. And then suddenly you realize that the promises require perseverance. There's a verse in Ephesians 3:20, and it says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." Now, we love this verse because it speaks to overflow, and don't we love overflow? It speaks to the fact that God exceeds expectations every time. And Paul wrote these words while imprisoned in Rome, even chained to a god. He could still say, God is able to do more. The Ephesian believers were surrounded by pagan wealth and power, and Paul wanted them to remember that the real power was already inside them. The real power was the Holy Spirit. So when you feel stretched and you're reading this passage, remember that God's more is measured by his power, not your position. If Paul could see abundance in a cell, you can trust God's purpose in your waiting. This means that the promise is not tied to the circumstances. Your promise is not tied to your circumstance. Hear me in this. It is tied to the power of God within us. Now, God's more might not look like our more. That's real. But it will always accomplish more than we could ever ask or imagine in our own strength. Because the stretching, it's not punishment, even though sometimes it feels like it. The stretching is the preparation. In 1 Corinthians 10, verses 13, the passage says, no temptation, I love this verse. It says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, hear me in this, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. Now, this verse is one of the most misquoted verses in the church because people prefer to say, God won't give you more than you can handle. But that is not what this verse says. Paul is writing to the Corinthians, a church that is full of compromise and pressure. And he's reminding them, God will allow stretching, he will allow tension, but he won't abandon you in it. Now, you may be listening to this and you may be in a season where it feels like God has given you too much, but he didn't give it to you to carry alone. That's where we get it wrong. And that is why his promise includes his very presence. And it might be the strength to stand that he's giving you, or it might be the wisdom to wait. He might be giving you the grace to just keep walking with trembling hands, but the promise is endurance, not escape. because he is right there with you, step by step, day by day. And sometimes we confuse his blessing for a burden. So then we'll start to get apathetic and we'll complain, but really every blessing is a revealer, because it reveals your thoughts and your triggers and your heart and your self-reliance. Don't we all do this? And if we let it, it can also reveal your dependency on God. In Isaiah 40, it says, "But those who hope in the Lord, will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." We quote this verse like it's a badge of honor, but the context matters. Isaiah is speaking to a people in exile, people that are weary from waiting. They are tired from being displaced. They are unsure of their future. And it's not a call to sprint. It's a call to trust, to stay, to wait. And sometimes God teaches you to fly, but sometimes he teaches you to walk and not faint. And either way, you're not meant to do it in your own strength. Hear me in this. Hope is what renews you. And that hope is not in the timing, but it is in the character of God. So if you're listening to this and you are in the in-between, if the promise is heavier than you expected, if you're asking for capacity instead of clarity, you're not failing. You're just in the gap. And God is there in the gap with you. He's in the stretch. He's in the silence. He is in the responsibility that comes with the blessing. And he's not just watching from a distance. He is walking with you in the weight of it all. Because the gap is not where the promise dies. It's where your roots go deeper. It's where your character is refined. It's where you learn that the God who gave you the vision is the same God who will give you the grace to carry it. So take heart, be honest, cry out, breathe deep, and remember that he is the God of the gap. And until next time, let's love more. And I'll see you at the next PSA. No matter the season that you're in, just know that God is right there with you. If you enjoyed this message, definitely share it with the first person that comes to mind. We have an entire playlist that we've created for you and those around you. Share them, listen to them, play them on repeat, because there's so much wisdom and goodness that is just for you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.